Willy, man, how are you?
Awesome.
Every month we speak, we get to talk about a new all-time high, but that will come to an end eventually.
No, it's only going up forever, Laura.
Forever. The main thing I want to talk to you was two main things I want to talk to you about today. We'll cover the basics. I want to talk to you about psychological barriers because with 100K looking inevitable, I want to talk about how you think about psychological barriers. And another thing, I want to talk to you about this bet I've got with American HODL. Do you know about this?
I saw something on it. Yeah, can you remind me? I saw it. I didn't look into the details of the bet, but yeah, remind me.
We did a bet last year on the US election, half a Bitcoin. He picked Trump, I picked Biden, and I won. Mm-hmm. And now we're doing another one on 300K by the end of the year. So if it hits $300,000, he wins half a Bitcoin. If it doesn't by the end of the year, he wins a half a Bitcoin. And it's quite interesting because you've gone from 250 to 300, looks like it'll beat it. So you as like a measure is quite an interesting one. But the market's pricing it differently from you, and I think I can hedge it.
Oh, interesting. How are you hedging it? Options?
I think so, yes, but that's what I got to ask you about. But I think so.
Okay.
We'll come to both of those. Let's cover off the basics first. Okay, so another all-time high. Mm-hmm. You were waiting for us to break out 61K. Did this come ahead of time for you? And do you think it was a Coinbase thing? It was a by the rumor pump?
No. Well, I put out in my letter that we'd test all-time highs over the 2 to 3 week phase, and right in the middle of that, like 2.5 weeks later, it did test it and it hovered underneath. It's really interesting in that, when you get this kind of setup where it's been, it's consolidating, essentially hitting the sort of 60-ish zone, and it's been going sideways for months, down, up, and then it creates this kind of triangle, and for traders it's a technical trading pattern called an ascending triangle, and the probability of that breaking upward is quite high. I can't recall exactly what that is, but it is high. It's like above 66%.
So where are we in terms of price floor now? What's your kind of call for the rest of this month? What do you think is going on?
I tweeted something out back a few days ago, and I reckon where we're at right now is sort of a halfway intermission. Actually, the name of my last letter was called Intermission, because we're at the halfway point, and that's based on a lot of
revenues,
miners' revenue. So every time miners sort of exceed their prior all-time high, last one was 2017, obviously at the top of the market. Since then, we've had a halvening, so they're mining half the number of coins per 10-minute block. So they've got to make that up with higher prices. And we just kind of passed through that zone at the weeks, a few weeks ago, where we went into this consolidation band. If you look at whenever they go through this zone, price goes through like a consolidation. And if you remember the double pump of 2013 on the charts, that was that big sort of run up, and then it corrected, I think 93%. But if you were tracking the minute chart, but people thought that was a bear market, but that was actually the consolidation of 2013 because it was such a volatile asset. And we saw the same thing in 2017. We hit that first major dip around the 2,500 zone. We went through this big consolidation that marked the sort of a halfway point before we ran up again. So I think we're there. We're just sort of pausing, and we're just making that breakout. So it's interesting in this. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, how the price chart will shape till the end of this year, because things have accelerated so quickly. And if we have the same sort of quarter that we had in the first quarter, it seems too fast. And that would normally spell the bear market, and it might come early if it's going up at this rate, according to some
It might come because it becomes unsustainable, and once you enter a bear market, people get spooked. Whereas if it's more sustainable, you might get to those higher prices.
Yeah, I use a bunch of models, but like the main one that I'm predicting the top on, it's a moving average, essentially. It's something what tech traders would call a mean reversion model. And that simply is a moving average. Like a lot of people use moving averages on the price chart. And when it starts to run away from the moving average, you tend to think of that as being overheated. It's going to come back to that average. And this is a special one, which it's not rocket science. It's essentially the all-time moving average. It's the cumulative moving average, like the entire average for the entire price of Bitcoin since year dot. It uses that as a metric, and it happens to have hit every single top that we've had in the history of Bitcoin, which is, and so if you measure that line, it gives you an upper bound where we can hit before it's got to come back down. So the longer this bull market runs, the higher that top can go. And right now it's so fast.
What's the range you've got it in then? Is it like is that the chart I saw where you've just kind of splintered it off at the end? It's like 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. So right now it's on track to go above 300. Normally this line, the top cap model, it curves upwards near the end of the year. So if it goes straight line, it's 300,000. If it starts curving up, we're gonna hit 400, 500, I don't know how high it'll go, but I haven't got a read of how high it's curving up yet, right? So, gosh, I have no idea. Like, I mean, I have this, it's really great because, you know, Plan B sitting there with his stock to flow model, which gives a hard number of 288,000, right? And mine is like, I don't care. As more money piles in, this line keeps moving up. It's a moving target. So, but you know, even that 288 target, you'll see that it overshoots. It always overshoots. Its fair valuation based on scarcity is based on that model. It overshoots. So if it's 288, it goes to 3, 4, even 5. It kind of fits his model because we overshoot and we come back down on the other side of it.
So we're looking good to leg up still right now. I mean, we're back at 63. Like people keep saying the number is like 69,000, 69,200 or something. I keep seeing blah, blah, blah. I don't really keep to those, but I'm assuming we're going to run up to 70 at some point.
Yeah, so right now, I don't know if anyone's talking about it, if you lay down the Fibonacci retracement line, so you know what that is Fibonacci numbers, magic spirals, golden ratios, all these sort of patterns in nature. So it turns out markets are patterns in nature, and you put that trace over the price chart, and the next resistance is exactly in the zone what we're contesting right now, which is 63.4 thousand, and we're just working our way in that zone. Normally it goes sideways, it tests it or rejects it. So it's going sideways. Once we get past that, I think it's 74,000 is the next fib level. So it should be relatively clean sailing up to there. And then we can see, like, I have a model right now. It says we can't go past 84 or 85,000 based on the amount of capital that's come into the network. And so there's no way it can get past 84, and that's going to climb as time comes, you know, as more capital goes into the network. So obviously when we get to 70,000, whenever month that is, or whatever weeks in the future that is, more capital's coming in, because we've got 150,000 people coming in every day buying Bitcoin, so let alone the hedge funds. So yeah, that gives you an idea anyway of price targets. I can tell you're really wanting to win this bet